I'm Rachel Horgan. Join me each episode as I sit down with a guest co-host covering the latest business stories in the Seattle area. We'll read the news so you don't have to. This is The Weekly. What is up, everybody? We're doing something a little special this week. I think I'd mentioned it in an earlier episode, but I was asked to moderate a panel on AI here in Seattle at the World Trade Center, and it was an event put on by Formidable. As many of you know, my former boss started this media company, so she asked me to moderate this panel, and it was recorded. So I wanted to put it out as an episode for those that couldn't be there in person. I think it was super, super interesting. I know many of you are wondering why I did an AI panel, because I've talked about how much I'm not really into it. But I think it's really good to explore and learn and ask questions and see the good sides of it. So I really, really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you guys do too. But I will still I've got to give you guys the update on what's going on in the business community. I can't leave you hanging and have you not know what to say at the water cooler. So I will do some 3-story updates very, very quickly, and then I will play the recording of the episode. So let's get into it. The first one is Seattle Children has a new CEO, and Seattle U's president leaves. So some changes in leadership here in Seattle. So the first one is Seattle Children's. Dr. Christopher Longhurst will be taking over in January, and he's replacing Dr. Jeff Sparing. Jeff will stay on as an advisory role through kind of the end of next year, and he had been in that role for about 10 years. So that's nice that he's helping out. Who's not staying around is Eduardo Penalver, the president of Seattle University. We interviewed him. I interviewed him earlier on in the year. What a very nice man. I really enjoyed our conversation. He's led Seattle University since 2021, and he's going to be stepping down in March of this coming year. Fun fact, he was the first president who was not a Jesuit priest. There you go. But why is he leaving? Well, because he's going to be the president of Georgetown University in July. So I can see why he'd want to do that. They're both Catholic Jesuit institutions, and obviously Georgetown is very well known. Something to remember, though, that this is coming off the merger between Seattle University and Cornish College of the Arts. Big merger that just happened, and I wonder what's going to happen. It sort of throws a wrench into things with the merger, with kind of changing leadership. I'm sure they'll be fine, but it is something that they're going to have to navigate moving forward. Okay, next article is Microsoft is donating AI tools to public schools. This was picked up by all the news publications, Seattle Times, GeekWire, PSBJ, big story. So wanted to make sure I let you guys know about it. But Microsoft will supply AI tech to every public school district and community college in Washington next year. So think like Copilot Chat, Microsoft's 365 apps, like all their AI stuff and all their software. They're also going to be providing training to teachers on how to teach with AI and how to use the tools and all of that. This is part of their big initiative to spend $4 billion in tech-focused grants and access and education in the next 5 years. So what the grants are is there's a $25,000 grants to help create and deploy AI tools. Brad Smith, the president and former CEO, he was saying how there's kind of a technology gap between the usage of AI in urban areas versus rural. So people kind of in King County and in Seattle are using it a lot more than people not in kind of further away from the city. And that is creating what he thinks is an opportunity gap. So people are being left behind, and he wants to help even out the playing field and help our kids be able to get jobs and keep up. I do want to bring up in the article, it talks about part of why we think Microsoft is doing this is also to create demand for the product that they've spent billions and billions of dollars investing in, which is AI. So now they are getting kids and college-age kids and whatever to depend on their tools and want their tools. So when they graduate, they'll buy them. So I don't think that that's that groundbreaking of a take on this, but it is something to think about. And there could be pros and cons to this, so I'll let you form your own opinions on it. The last one is a restaurant closing. So M Bar in South Lake Union, it's this rooftop bar. I've been to a couple times, very cute, but it's going to close after about almost 10 years, and it's closing in November. It's part of the same restaurant group as Mom Noon, which closed earlier this month, if you didn't know, and that was open for close to 13 years. But they're still going to keep their retail hummus. So the Mom Noon hummus will still be available in stores. They did say they're likely to never open another venture in Seattle after dealing with the rising operational costs and fewer diners after the pandemic. So we've talked about this on the podcast. I've talked about this with my friends. It is, Seattle is the most expensive city to run a restaurant and dine at a restaurant. So there's another article that PSBJ put out about just what the restaurant industry is dealing with, and more than 2,000 restaurants closed in Washington State this year from January to June, so the first half of the year, which is more than the first year of the pandemic. So I don't want to say like sky is falling, but this is a serious issue that I think City Council and Seattle needs to pay attention to. Some of the reasons you might be wondering, why are all these restaurants closing? There's been a change in the minimum wage increase, and tip credits are going away. There's fees for Uber Eats and Grubhub that are being passed along, making things more expensive. There's new taxes like the B&O tax. The cost of supplies with tariffs are going up. Cisco, it's a whole different story about what they supply to restaurants, and they're slowly turning into a monopoly. And then I thought this was interesting is that GLP-1, I know a lot of people are on that, and one of the people that they interviewed was saying how they think that could adjust how people are dining out because less people have an appetite. They also said that going into the office is the new offsite. So instead of people going into work every single day and then going out to a restaurant for celebrating, they'll have everybody come into the office to celebrate or meet or what have you. So, okay, that has been your news roundup. So without further ado, let's play the interview that I had with the AI professionals. So usually I kind of skip the intros. I tell what their title is, but I feel like with you three, the title doesn't totally explain all that you do. If you could introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you work on.
So I'm Zia. I'm currently working at Amazon, specifically in selling partner growth organization, and we're building a lot of AI tools directly seller facing and try to help sellers to grow their business on Amazon.
Hi, my name is Elaine Chang. I'm the technical advisor for the Chief Communication Officer at Microsoft. So I've been working on AI probably 2 decades, previously as a product builder, but also now more in the intersection of technology and business strategy and storytelling. But also, I think AI is more personal. I'm a mom, actually. I joke as a master of messiness. So I really see a lot of the AI in our everyday life. So happy to be in this conversation.
Thank you.
I'm Ari Yu. If you look at my LinkedIn or even the title they put in for me, I'm not your typical person. I've created my own sort of like path or career over the 25 years. And so today, mom of 3 boys, that's first. Second, I do a little investing. I work as an EIR for several innovation labs out of Chicago. I'm also the Advanced Technology Ambassador for the WTIA, so I get to host events and little this, a little that, but mostly mom right now and looking for my next thing.
Fantastic. Okay, so this question is for each of you. It seems like every business in every industry is scrambling to figure out how to best use AI, and many people assume it's the most advanced and most optimal route to go. What's a common misconception about when AI should or shouldn't be used? Elaine, I'll have you go first.
I think it's right now, just because everyone is saying AI, I will even share you a fun story. The other day, my girls was building this Lego, and then they were like, "Mom, come to see, like, this is like, you have like tech shop here. It even has an AI in it." I say, like, why AI? They say, well, if I say AI, you're going to pay attention. So I think coming back to your question, I think everyone thinks AI is not the magic pill, it's going to solve everything. But ultimately, just like any other solution, it has to align with your goal. So I think it's only using AI when it actually adds a value. I actually, in the recent LinkedIn course we actually published, I co-created with the Chief Communication Officer at Microsoft, the Communicators Guidance to AI. We really talk about this ACT framework. Like, you have to decide your audacious goal. What is you are trying to achieve? And then only after you have that intention, clarity of the goal, then you can choose, then you choose what you're going to do and which AI tool can really help you, because AI is also different depending on different tool, different technology, right? It's not just a generic thing, just like electricity. And then you have to tune along the way.
Yeah. Zian, do you want to add to that?
Elaine, what you said resonates with me a lot. And I've seen a lot of AI as a magic bullet, and let's try to use AI to solve this particular problem. But the mental framework I normally use is that I ask the question, whether it's a process problem, or whether it's an automation problem, or whether it's an AI problem. Because a lot of the problems we're facing are actually not AI appropriate. I was interviewing one candidate actually this week, and she told me a story that she actually worked for a movie production company. And in each scene, they have to shoot like 5 or sometimes 60 shots for that particular scene. And she was like, okay, my manager asked me to build an AI tool, identify for the final production, which footage is that coming from? I was like, okay, you spin up this big computer vision model and spend tens of thousands bucks, and you probably get 50% right. Why don't you need an AI tool for that? Can people just be more organized and make sure like they put the footage for the final production in a folder?
Have you tried a label maker?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. So I was like, do you know why you're asked to do that? And she was like, I have no idea. I just told to build this gigantic AI tool, which leveraged the state-of-art literature. And I'm so excited about the model itself. So that's a concrete example to show me like, okay, oftentimes people just go to AI for a lazy solution for the problem. And meanwhile, all the question you should ask is that, do I really need an AI tool which is expensive to maintain, which is expensive to develop, and it's not going to achieve 100% accuracy, whereas in that simple example, you probably will be able to achieve 100% if you're just being more careful and more organized.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example. Yeah. And what problem are we solving is a good question. Yeah. Ari?
I would add that, just like you said, be skeptical. There are probably things that you do in your life that you are an expert at and you know very intimately. So I think those are good areas where you can play the Toyota model, right? Like Toyota model is you're the expert. If your entire team gets wiped out, you can go down as the manager and get all the work done. You know all the details of what it takes. And so play the Toyota model in using AI. What do you know really well? Test it out and play with it, and then see what results come out and kind of learn from that process. And then the other idea our table was talking about, and I actually found myself and my husband, we use it kind of funny as using your AI as your friend. You know, like instead of bothering my friend, be like, "Hey, have you seen the skin thing happen before?" And you're like asking these weird questions, or like, "Oh, I think my son, now has new bumps on his arms. What is it?" Right? So like just the way we use Google, like you start using whatever your AI friend of choice is, but they can kind of act as your friend and your confidant as you ask it questions. But the other side of that is, though, all of it is admissible for any sort of court proceedings or FBI investigations. So, don't ask it too many questions, but, try it. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't ask where to bury the bodies. I love it. Okay, Elaine, we're going to go back to you. So having seen the evolution from early conversational AI to today's large language models, what do you think people get wrong about how quickly or slowly AI technology actually is advancing?
I think there is this common saying in a lot of technology trend that we really overestimate the short-term effect of technology, including AI, and then underestimate the long-term effect of technology. And this is really true for AI as well. I think, a lot of people feel like, oh, suddenly AI is here. Well, this has been foundational research for a long time. It just suddenly become so powerful in a way that's also so relatable in our everyday life. So it now suddenly catch everyone's attention, right? But then in the short term, it's not going to solve everything like we said. But just because it's not perfect, it's still powerful. I think the other misconception is, people are trying to find simple answer. Is it good? Is it bad? But the reality, it is both. That's a paradox. That's a dichotomy, right? That is the reality. And how do you really live with that tension? I think that's actually a kind of misconception. So the important thing, actually, what Leah talked about, a lot of really, really resonates. The judgment, really important, right? And also really that alignment. This is also, I think the other misconception is like, okay, let's wait. Let the different experts, let them figure out. I think the invitation here is everyone. Everyone, you have a diverse perspective. disruptive. You know your domain expertise, right? This is actually the opportunity that everyone, you need to bring your expertise to help align the technology to your industry, to your problem.
Yeah, thank you. So kind of speaking of how it advances slowly or fastly and thinking about scaling, Ari, for someone who worked across blockchain and now follows AI, do you see any parallels between those two kind of hype cycles of technologies, and what lessons can we learn from that?
Yeah, I find a lot of the woes of AI are very similar to the woes of blockchain. And so, a lot of people think of blockchain or cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and some people will be like, yes, this is the best thing, since sliced bread, right? Other people were like, no, nefarious activities, criminals, they're really, really, really bad. A lot of people say the same things actually about AI. They're like, oh, best thing since sliced bread, it's going to change the world. Oh, no, nefarious activity, deep fakes, oh my God, very scary. Like, how do I know? Well, the way I usually explain it in the blockchain world and the way I explain it in the AI world and now entering the quantum world is we're going through a big change in human quality of life. Remember back in the day, I look younger than I am, but back in the day, you had to write the letter and put it into envelopes and put a stamp on it and you mail it, and they receive it a day or 3 days later. That's how you communicate, right? And you had the dial-up phone and all the old school things, filing cabinets. I think we still have filing cabinets now, right? Then you fast forward to like the 90s and 2000s and all the way up to like maybe 2020, where we've been digitizing all of our analog world. So now we have double-click filing cabinets on our computers, right? A click of an email, I can send a message to everyone in this room within seconds. But what we have done is just digitize the analog world that we have existed today. And so we have lots of problems, whether you're in blockchain or AI or whatever digital du jour you want to talk about. There's a lot of fraud. There's, phishing attacks. There's pixel-on-pixel attacks. I used to do a lot of user experience research in this front. There's just so much bad stuff that's going on with the digital world. But it's because the digital world was not built for the digital world. It is not digitally native, so to speak. And so as we are moving to that digitally native world, and I think with the AI tools and as it advances, all of that infrastructure work that we need to do, and we have a lot of technical debt across the board in every organization, you name it, and every country around the world. I think a lot of the AI tools will be used to help fix a lot of that infrastructure, but with that comes a lot of, with that power comes great responsibility. And is the machine smart enough to do that? Probably. Does the machine have the ability to reason and make assumptions? Probably. Then you want to fast forward to the world of the movie Elysium meets Battlestar Galactica and Cylons and all that's going on. I don't know. I get a little bit creeped out.
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject, but before I do, did either of you want to add on to that?
There's a lot to
cover. Okay, keep it moving, Rachel. Got it. Okay, we're going to talk about AI is coming for our jobs. So we've all heard this. AI is going to replace jobs in many industries. But what does that actually mean? What is the impact going to be on human work, and why is that important?
Well, I think I heard a lot of worry about AI is going to destroy all the work and AI is going to replace the human. I think some of the concern is legitimate because there's a lot of repetitive work that will be replaced by AI. And we've already seen that happening in the industry. But there is also a question that really we need to think about what kind of skill set and what kind of job that is very hard to replace by AI. And that's where we should head towards and where we should really think about the skill set we start to develop. What I've seen is that a lot of work requires critical thinking skills. And oftentimes when we face a super complicated business problem, it's really very hard to really know where to start. You can brainstorm with AI tool, but at the end of the day, as a leader, you need to make the judgment call. Which kind of tool I want to build and what specific area I really want to double down and which area I want to minimize. And as I was saying, I was working in the selling partner growth organization in Amazon. And oftentimes you see, okay, this specific metric, my new seller recruitment is actually going down. But it's not obvious, then what should I do about it? Should I double down my marketing in the up funnel? Should I really increase the conversion rate? Or should I offer incentives? So all those decisions needs to be made by critical thinking skills, which is very hard to replace, at least at the current stage, by AI alone. And the second thing I'm seeing is that we talk a lot about the judgment and the evaluation in this world. It's so easy to generate information from an AI tool. The entry barrier is really, really low nowadays. So it's easy to say something or for the AI tools to give you some results. But is it correct? Is it really helping the business? Is it going to drive the metric to the direction that I want to see? It's not clear. So how do we think about the evaluation of the output of the AI tool? And how do I really evaluate the efficacy of really building this AI tool? I think it requires a lot of the human judgment as well. And especially AI tool is a very generic word. And oftentimes I've seen you need human in the loop still for another scenario, for a lot of scenarios. So those judgments, those really the evaluation and the application of the tool is really the skill set we want to build in this era.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think when you combine the different technologies that are out there, like you said it, IoT and AI, for instance, right? Like farming is going to be totally. We don't need all of the. Just think about it. Like you have these drones that can with pinpoint accuracy land in any place in the world today, right? And you have cameras that are able to tell and change the shape of your face, with a click of a button. Now you pair that with plants, they can identify plants and they can tell which one needs more water, which one needs just a little bit more sunlight or a little pruning. When you have that sort of machine-capable accuracy, farming is changed. Jobs will completely change. And so, on the other side of jobs, people have been talking about UBI, universal basic income. I think the big opportunity is we need to be able to take, you said lived experiences, and I was like, lived experiences. Someone needs to figure out how to digitize our lived experiences so that these AI models and tools can live off firsthand primary data that we own. And this is where blockchain world comes in, versus all of the secondary and tertiary data that they're living off right now. Hence the hallucinations and all the different issues. Where can we get to a world where we can digitize our lived experiences? Here's an idea. I'm a 46-year-old, middle-aged, sedentary woman of three kids, right? I want to be able to ask, how many other women have really bad back pain and what have they done with it? What if we could go out and say, in your region, in the Pacific Northwest, we have surveyed 36,000 women of your specific, genealogy or whatever, of your sedentary lifestyle, which it is, and have found 246 other women that have similar blah, blah, blah issues. And, this is what they've done. We cannot get to that sort of accuracy today. How do I know? The AI does not report to me today. These are the sources, and this is where it came from, and fast forward. Lived experiences, I think, is really key. And if we can get there, then we have universal basic income. Now I can go out and say, upload data, and maybe for every person that it's useful to, it starts to give you money and income back.
Yeah. Oh, Elaine?
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear this headline, just AI replace job. But I think the other thing you may have heard is actually those people who use AI will replace those who don't, right? Even that's actually not making me feel very comfortable, because I feel AI does, I think it's clear it's bring changes, but also the change is not just technology, it's not just AI. We are just in a rapid place of change. There's also political tension and many, many other factors that are bringing to this place, this time of change. But AI also brings agency, right? I think a lot of the time that you see of how in the places actually are changed are because it is really now we are in this place, intelligence is at tap, right? Before you have a lot of the specialized silo, like Liat was saying, right? You have a lot of silo, but suddenly You can have one employee who are able to leverage the AI tool to be able to be very good at many different, right? You no longer need to just outsource to agency to do multi-months research to just get some insights back. You're able to have that intelligence right here to help you speed up making that decision. So even if you look at the entry job, they suddenly are able to fast forward to maybe in the past owning some manager are able to do, right? So you are actually able to leverage what's the skill required will be different. For example, even for now entry level job, you probably, because the agency you're not able to have, the more important, it's like similar, like in the past, a manager managing many different teams. You now need to think about how do I manage a team that both have human, but also agent, and how do I orchestrate and know how everything working together, right? So that kind of orchestration will be different skill. But with that, I think it really also brings importance for human, us, to really be more intentional, right? This is no longer the world that you can, just think, okay, I live in the world, people tell me what to do, and I just repeat the day by day. This brings actually more, you're not just restricted by, okay, this is how the job is going, but actually if you're more intentional, if you're more audacious, you're not just bound by, which house you're born, which, major you actually graduate from. You suddenly are able to tap into so many different opportunities. Like even within software engineering, right? We, in the past, we'll see a program manager, you write how the software is supposed to, right? Basically writing the functional requirement of how a software should be made. And then a developer will write the code and then a tester. But that's no longer like that, right? It's blurred away. Now imagine a more empowered program manager will be able to, I write what it is, I get customer data, I know what the customer really wants, and I use my intuition on top of that, right? And I actually built a prototype right away. I don't need to wait till my designer, developer, but then what the developer able to develop, it's actually tenfold. So you can imagine it is still the same discipline, but what they're able to achieve is mind-blowing.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're all kind of saying that it's not replacing a lot of human work. I think we're maybe over freaking ourselves out. But it might replace some, and it might change the way we work, but it's not going to replace all the humans. Ari, you're giving me a face.
I think it's going to replace a lot.
You think it's going to replace a lot? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, disagreement on a panel is great. I think that another thing is people are saying replace, but what I'm seeing is that companies are laying off people to invest in AI. So because of AI, they might be laid off, but not replacing by AI. So I think it's an important distinction. So along that, what skills do you think needs to be prioritized given this changing landscape?
I actually really think human skills, a lot of the human skills are even more important. Actually investing time on how do you actually build that judgment, that intention, and actually connect with each other, right? And then the orchestration skill that I talked about, right? It's basically what I call the master of messiness skill. It is like, what Leah said about the sense making in the chaos, that really resonates. That kind of master of messiness skill that the chaos, but how do you thrive with it, right? You suddenly, in addition to in the past, you're just talking to a lot of humans, getting different perspective. Now, not only human, but also the different AI tools you're going to leverage. Not just one tool, but check with all different tools, so you're able to build that judgment, discernment. But on top of that, connect with your human skills, right? So that kind of orchestration skill, I think, is very important. And then the other is really kind of really intentional to. I think a lot of AI tools help us to get better understanding of ourselves, and then that will be the North Star to help us kind of lead a more intentional life.
Yeah. I'll go to Zian first here. What do you think we need to prioritize? What skills?
I actually resonate with a lot of what Elaine said. And on top of that, I think given that we're worried that AI will replace the work, and why don't we just get more understanding on what exactly AI is? Because we heard about that word so many times in media, And I think there is a lot of myths there about what AI actually is. And I actually asked ChatGPT this question, and ChatGPT's answer, which I resonate a lot, which is AI is nothing more than math and data and engineering. So if you have a high-level understanding on how the AI works, you will actually know what's the appropriate use cases for the AI tool. And the jobs, the topic we're discussing here, what kind of jobs that AI will replace, and we have a deeper understanding on what AI is good at and which area the AI is not particularly good at. And all those, if we start to really gain a little bit more understanding about what exactly AI is built and how the AI performs, I think that can alleviate a lot of concern and also gives you quite a bit of edge on how should I apply those tools to help me instead of, I'm competing with this tool, which may or may not wipe out my job.
I have 3 sons, and I was thinking, what am I planning them for, and what sort of future am I planning them for? I sat on the school board too, and I asked the same question to our, school administrators, and I said, what sort of future are we planning our children for? I actually think the future is going to be a harder one. Like the golden age is coming to an end in terms of human prosperity, the amount of capital producing humans that exist, all that sort of stuff. And so I think it's going to be a harder life for our children, even with all of this great technology that's coming in. And so for my sons, it's a lot of heuristics and algorithms. If you talk to, I've spent a lot of time talking to CTOs of these emerging technologies, and I say, what's the one thing that you're looking for? What sort of person is your best hire? Most of them say, I actually did best hiring someone straight out of college or someone that dropped out of college. Why? Well, they didn't have all of these preconceived ideas of how things should be or how things work. They ask all the, quote, dumb questions, and they can plan out all the crazy edge cases that no one would have ever imagined would have happened. And that's why a lot of these hacks come into the blockchain world, because no one would have ever imagined that they would have figured out this weird ass backdoor. So you want people that could kind of think outside of the box, learn algorithms and patterns and different heuristics. And so, my son, he spends a lot of time cubing Rubik's Cubes. He spends a lot of time with chess. Usually for every conference that I go, I'm going to Chicago next week for a summit that I'm hosting, and he'll be there with me shaking hands. And I ask him, who did you meet? What did you read? What did you sense about that person? Were they comfortable or not comfortable? How did you make them feel? All of these things. And the art of gathering is really, really important. So the art of gathering, being able to bring one or more humans together in a space together and have community, that is an art form that is going to be lost and is getting lost today. I see it over and over. I go to a PTO or PTA meeting and I go, that art is lost. The art of, hi, how are you? Please come sit down. Let's share names. Let's break bread together. And how do you disarm and make someone feel comfortable by, showing your own vulnerabilities? These are things that we all need to get better at. And that means less digital time, less time at the computer, because the computer's getting smarter. They're going to figure it out. They're going to do all that work for us. We need to get good at just connecting at a human level. And in the blockchain world, that's also something that I preach. The only way that you can fight against nefarious actors is by meeting people face to face and trading notes and trading ideas on what you heard in the news or what's going on in the world and what's important. That's literally it.
As an event planner, I'm glad to hear that there's still going to be a need to bring people together. So that's good. Okay, so we're going to do our last question. It doesn't need to be quite so lightning, because I think we have a few minutes for a full answer if you'd like. But you can either say, what's one thing you wish people understood more about AI, and or what's a resource you think people should use or look up? So you can answer either of those questions. What do you wish people understood about AI, or what resource should people be thinking about?
I can start. So one wish I had is that I wish people understand that data is the key for the AI. That's the foundation. Because I actually worked in Microsoft for 4 years before Amazon. And when I was in Microsoft, I was seeing more of a data center operation domain, where the digitalization level is actually pretty low. I was always asked the question of, Zian, can you build an AI tool for us? Use our domain knowledge. I said, where's the domain knowledge? It is in people's brain. I said, okay, sorry, I cannot build a tool to extract the information from people's brain. We're not there yet. So a lot of business, we really wish to leverage the power of the AI. And a lot of the AI's power is relying on what is the specific data that business accumulates. And in order to do that, you need to have the data infra. You need to have enough foundations to actually accumulate those informations. And then you build upon the AI technology to extract those useful information, decisions, or help you to really extract the insights there. So I think that's a fundamental thing people always ignore when they start to talk about AI tool. AI tool, currently, if we look at ChatGPT, it still trains on Wikipedia data and on all the textbook data and all the knowledge out there. And that's the foundation. If we really want to build a tool that's specific to the business, you need to feed the technology itself your specific proprietary information to make it useful for the business. That requires a lot of more of the front-loaded investments before we can even go to say, oh, let's build a very smart AI tool to generate specific decisions that will drive my metric 30% up. So that's one thing that I probably wish a lot of leaders actually knew before they start to really ask people to build the AI tool.
Yeah, I think that distinction between something like ChatGPT or something that's built specifically for your company is a good one. Elaine?
For a resource, I highly recommend actually the LinkedIn course that we recently put together because we really shared a lot of the real examples. So it's called The Communicator's Guide to AI. And also in my newsletter in LinkedIn Master of Messiness, I share a lot of personal examples of how we actually use AI, like a very personal example, how my dad was in emergency room, how actually the experience I had 3 years ago and this year, able to leverage the AI tool is very different. And it's not saying really replacing, but think about a caregiver, right? 2:00, you don't know whether you're going to the emergency room or not, right? And then how are you able to even collect your thoughts, getting some quick things? And then when you're actually in the emergency room, there's actually little information. The AI tool can actually suggest how you talk to, what question to ask to the doctor. This actually helps the doctor and nurse to better work with you. And then it actually will quickly help me saying, okay, do you want me to draft this communication in both languages? Because, I need to English talking to different doctors and Chinese to talk to my parents and then the other side, So all of those, it's kind of helping you to really master the messiness in your life, right? But the other thing I really want to just for this room, for each one of you, I really invite you to invest in your own AI daily habit. And also coming to gatherings like this, I really resonate. It's like you have to continue intentionally invest in the human connection part. And specifically for the building AI habits, to be very concrete, like the ACT framework, having an audacious goal in your own life, right? And then choose the tool, don't just one, right? Because then picking 2 or 3, using the same prompt will help you build that judgment, that discernment about you see, not all the tools will give you the same answer, even for the same question, right? So you can use ChatGPT, you can use Microsoft Copilot, you can use whatever other ones, but I just encourage you, don't pick the same one, right? The diversity. And then tune, right? Based on what you learned, you have to build the time to learn daily, reflect, did this work, did not work? That reflection, tuning time, it's critical.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Use lots of different types and understand them differently. Ariel, we'll have you close us out.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to share and everyone. I want to bring back everyone, I think it's important to look at the tree, but it's always still very good to just every once in a while have the swivel head and look left, right, up and down and look at the forest. And if you look at the forest, what was it, 25 years ago, they brought Craig Venter in to come in and map out the entire human genome. Remember? You got 14 years. All right. 7 years in, they said, how far have you gone? He's like, we just hit 1%. We just mapped out 1% of the human genome. And everyone laughed at him out of the room, remember? And then 7 years later, he was done. I think the question that I often ask AI folks is, have we crossed the 1%? Supposedly we have we hit the 1%? Because it's going to go fast after that. And the world will change really, really quickly. So did we really hit the 1%? Some people say so. I think so. I don't know. And then the second thing is zoom out and look for areas where there are new business models being created, because we can't do the same old and we can't expect the same old, and we're not going to exist in the same old world anymore. And so zoom out and look for industries where new business models are being created. This is where I say, come to blockchain and Web3 and crypto, because there are a lot of different business models that have been created. And we can learn and cross-pollinate these learnings, because in a natively digital world, we're going to have to look at things differently, and we're also going to have to optimize our business models differently as well.
Perfect. Well, once again, thank you so much to Zian, Elaine, and Ari for your wonderful insights on AI. Thank you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that interview. We're going to be back next week with a regular episode. We're going to be talking about the business of the music industry. This has been an episode that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I think I found the perfect person to talk to me about it. Many of you know that I've worked and still work in the music industry here in Seattle, and I just think it's going to be a really good one. So check back next week, okay? See ya. This has been The Weekly, with production assistance from Nick Patry. If you liked what you heard, rate us and write a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We love listener feedback, so if you have any story suggestions, comments, or complaints, email us at info@theweeklyseattle.com. Make sure to check back next Sunday for the latest local business news. We'll see you next time.